Last summer, I was diagnosed with ADHD at the age of 49. I was a quiet kid and well-behaved for the most part. In some ways, I was a model student. I loved math. In fourth grade, my fourth grade teacher wanted me to teach the other kids the math facts because I was the first one done with the multiplication table. I had a parent-teacher meeting because I was failing social studies. And so I'm at school in the evening with both my parents and my fourth grade teacher. And I said, I know I've done the work, and I know I did them. And my desk was always messy, so I had to dump out my desk on the floor in front of my parents and my teacher and go through all my papers. And the reason it sticks with me is because I was overwhelmed with a huge sense of shame and embarrassment. My parents were embarrassed. It just was an uncomfortable situation.
Looking back on my time in school as a child with undiagnosed anxiety and ADHD, I definitely was kind of the target of a lot of punishment in school. I'd have a hard time sitting still for long periods of time, and I'd erase things on the whiteboard before my teacher wanted me to. I got a lot of those like yellow cards. Every time I'd get a yellow card, I'd have an anxiety attack, and my teacher would send me out in the hallway and just make me sit out there by myself until I, quote-unquote, got over it. I hated the yellow card system because it made me feel so self-conscious about my behavior that I couldn't help. That was really hard growing up in school. A lack of understanding or sympathy for children who are clearly neurodivergent.
In fifth grade, I was very, very shy, pretty reserved. That was also definitely masking and not feeling comfortable being myself and like just wanting to blend in. And I remember one day my dad was there at the school and I was being my normal hyper self, and my dad was like, oh, this is normal. And my teacher was really surprised and was really mad at me. And I was being energetic because I had somebody there who I felt comfortable in not masking around. I remember feeling really sad and upset when that happened, and I didn't know why. And I think it's because I was so tired from masking all the time, and I was finally not masking, and I got in trouble for it.
I was the kid that doodled on their assignments. I found the repetitive action to really help me concentrate, but my teachers didn't necessarily appreciate this. I had a teacher. She would give us worksheets every day to end. If she found out I doodled on one, she would rip it up in front of the whole class and make me start from square one. And I remember I ended up doodling on my homework, and our homework was worth a lot more points. And I didn't put my name on it when I turned it in that morning. So she ended up sticking it on the board and asking if anyone had forgotten their name. I was so scared of being humiliated again that I didn't say a single word, and I ended up just taking the 0.
I was diagnosed with Asperger's from a very young age, and we kind of first discovered that when my mom would take me out in public, places like the pool or the park, and I would hear the other kids screaming and playing, and that was just too much for my sensory overload. So my mom finally took me to the doctor, and they diagnosed me with Asperger's syndrome. That opened up a whole list of things that kind of happened for me in the academic setting. As I grew older, I really had a hard time understanding people when they were being sarcastic and effectively socialize with others and communicate with others. I had to have speech therapy, so I would often get pulled from my classes, and then I miss half the lessons from that day. But it's also provided me with gifts as well, such as having a lot of knowledge on certain topics or certain subjects that others probably wouldn't have the same amount of knowledge on, because I was able to share all this exciting new information and just things that I found interesting.
Growing up, the one phrase I found that really defined it, that helped me explain how I felt, was a clock that ticks a few seconds off. One specific instance of this was in my AP Capstone class. I was in a group project, and I don't know what exactly had happened probably a joke had gone over my head, or they were talking without me, and I just was thinking to myself, why didn't I vibe with these people, or anyone for that matter, in high school? It's like everyone had a cheat sheet and I didn't.